Hello, this video is being recorded by T. Chase on August 3, 2014. This video is on the subject of the Ebola virus outbreak in Africa. Ebola is a deadly virus that is spreading in West Africa. Usually, if it kills people, it kills a high percentage of those who get it, usually within 2 weeks of getting it. So a very deadly and scary disease. And it has been spreading in West Africa this year in 2014. Now, my website and videos are on the subject of prophecies of the future, interpreting what is going on in the world in terms of prophecies. And the spreading of Ebola could be related to the writing of the four horsemen of the apocalypse in the Bible's book of Revelation. The first horseman, the man on a white horse, is either the Antichrist or the Christ. The Antichrist is a reverse image, evil Christ figure, and whose number is 666. And on my website and other videos I explain that I think this is President Putin of Russia, and that eventually President Putin will lead with the world to World War III, a nuclear war, say by year 2020. On my website and other videos I go into a lot of reasons why I believe Putin is this Antichrist. Specifically, when Putin first rose to power in August 1999, there was a rare astrology pattern, the most unusual astrological pattern of the previous 100 years, with the planets in a bent cross shape, at the same time as a solar eclipse over Europe in August 1999. That's when Putin first became second in command in Russia, becoming Russian president as a new millennium began in January 1, 2000. Now, in the prophecies of the Bible's last chapter, the book of Revelation, the four horsemen of the apocalypse ride as the Antichrist comes to power. That's why I think these horsemen could be riding now. First horseman, the Antichrist. Second horseman, war. Wars breaking out in the Middle East, war in Ukraine and other places, war in Iraq, war in Syria. The third horseman, economic chaos, which we've seen over the last few years since 2008. And the fourth horseman, death by disease. And Ebola could be a case of the writing of the fourth horseman of the apocalypse, perhaps spreading into a worldwide epidemic of Ebola virus. If it mutates to become airborne, is the worst possibility. So there is a spreading epidemic of Ebola virus in West Africa. In previous years, there had been Ebola outbreaks also. And the concern is that it can mutate into a airborne virus. Note that Ebola virus sometimes twists itself into a 6 shape, like the number 6. Note that the number of the Antichrist, the evil one, who is, I think, Russian President Putin, his number is 666. So Ebola epidemic in this year, 2014, could be related to the aggressiveness this year of Russian President Putin with the wars in Ukraine. Seeing that the Antichrist, Putin, is the first horseman of the apocalypse, that means the fourth horseman of the apocalypse, death, could be riding in the form of Ebola. Let us consider that there are 3 diseases that are a threat to mankind, especially great threat to mankind: AIDS, Ebola, and influenza, flu. The virus that causes AIDS, HIV, was first discovered in the year 1983, so therefore associate AIDS with the number 83. The galaxy M83 is in the constellation Hydra, which was a multi-headed serpent in mythology that kept growing a new head each time a head was cut off. This sounds like AIDS, which keeps mutating to allow it to get around any treatment or vaccine. The Hydra was defeated by Hercules by his nephew Iolaus, burning each of the mortal heads as Hercules cut them off and burying the immortal head under a stone. I wonder if this mythology story could somehow be a clue to how to treat AIDS. Note that AIDS virus has 9213, which bits of genetic information, which is 111 times 83. So again, we have the number 83 connected with AIDS. Note that the Hydra mythology also applies to the Al-Qaeda terrorist network, which seems to keep regrowing in new countries after it was eliminated in Afghanistan. And Ebola, a lethal disease of Africa that kills in 2 weeks of infection, had its virus discovered in 1976. So if we associate astronomy galaxy M76 with it, we are near the constellation Andromeda. Remember the movie Andromeda Strain about a lethal disease that threatened humanity? That could be Ebola if it mutates into an airborne form. Now, influenza or flu was discovered in 1933. Galaxy M33 is in the constellation Triangulum. That may imply we should look for a triangle. The numbers 33, 76, and 83 do form a right 90-degree triangle with an angle of 66 degrees. Note that 666 is the number of the Antichrist in the book of Revelation, chapter 13. This may imply that these three diseases will threaten humanity when he is in power. In fact, Ebola frequently twists itself into a shape that looks like a 6. These diseases may also relate to 3 animals used to describe the Antichrist in Book of Revelation, chapter 13:2. He's like a leopard, mouth of a lion, feet of a bear. Maybe Ebola corresponds to the leopard with its great speed. Ebola kills in 2 weeks of infection. Influenza could be the lion. It causes coughing like a lion's roar. And AIDS could be the bear. Bears hibernate like AIDS can do until it wakes up and kills people. And Ebola and a similar virus called Marburg have surfaced in recent years in outbreaks. Now, the big concern, of course, in 2014 is an outbreak in West Africa. Now, what I'll discuss now is what is called the King James Version English Bible Code, where I look for the Bible Code is a way of looking for hidden prophecies and passages in the Bible by using a software program to search for messages in the text. The spaces between words are eliminated so that the Old Testament, or in this case New Testament, is a continuous block of letters. Now, originally the Bible Code was done in the Old Testament in Hebrew, but what I do is using the King James Version Bible in English, I do Bible Code searches in English in both the Old Testament and New Testament. Then, by skipping letters at a programmed interval, the program searches for words. There appear to be patterns to the passages where the words are found and what words are clustered together. The theory is that these words and phrases in the Bible Code can reveal the future. Now, here I did do Bible code searches. You will see on my webpage on this for Ebola and Marburg virus diseases. Now, I did a Bible code search in this. Here we have an Old Testament matrix in the Old Testament at Genesis 17:5 to 25:32, and it contains these search words: airborne. Of course, the big concern is that Ebola could turn airborne. Airborne, Ebola, death, millions. Also in this matrix, thousands. Behold, thou art but a dead man. Again, about describing Ebola, the illness. Violently taken away. Say drink means Ebola results in fever and thirst. And the cave, could that be a reference possibly to an Ebola hiding place where it may hide in animal vectors? Now, the fact that we see in this matrix Ebola, death, millions, would that mean millions could get Ebola once it turns airborne? So this matrix may be indicating that there's a danger of Ebola mutating to become an airborne disease with thousands and millions of dead resulting from it. Now, here we have an Old Testament matrix beginning at Leviticus 5:3. And it contains the words Ebola, airborne, again indicating Ebola could become airborne. Airborne, Ebola, death, plague. Also in this matrix are relevant words and phrases describing this horrible and bloody disease very well. Uncleanness, because that will only spread Ebola more. Shall be an abomination, describing Ebola. The 8th day, could that be describing Ebola kills within 8 days from infection, or it can kill that fast. The blood, because the blood is what it affects. It is unclean, because a very unclean disease. The skin thereof was a boil, again maybe describing the disease. Shall kill, also describing the disease. All the fat that was upon the inwards, maybe also describing the disease. Shall burn them up in the fire, describing the disease and the fever it causes. Running issue out of his flesh, again that could be describing the Ebola disease and the horrible symptoms it causes. So could these matrices indicate that possibly there is a danger of Ebola spreading worldwide, as it becoming airborne and spreading worldwide? That's why it's very important that Ebola be stopped as soon as it possibly can be, before it turns into a worldwide fourth horseman death in the form of Ebola. As this seems to indicate there is a danger of it mutating, of an Ebola mutation, making it spread worldwide. Thank you. If you see my webpage on the Bible code on Ebola, I also show some matrices that may give clues to what the carrier animals may be. They think that Ebola resides in a carrier animals when it's not infecting people, and that's why it may keep coming back. Some think it may be bats, it may be another carrier too, like insects or whatever. I give some clues to this, possibly using the Bible code on what the carrier animals may be. If you look at my Bible code page on on Ebola, and hopefully this Ebola epidemic will be stopped in 2014 before it spreads worldwide. Thank you.